Skinny people who used to be fat, do you feel treated differently now? Literally half the man I used to be, down from almost 375 to 175. People do treat you different. I kind of just fit in now. People seem nicer and more willing to talk to me. I also at one point got down to 155. What hurts just as bad as when someone tells you that you should gain weight, or just too skinny. That felt the exact same as when someone told me I needed to lose weight or was too fat.
It's interesting how people's perceptions can shift based on weight. I've seen friends change a lot like that. Losing or gaining weight often comes with different treatment from others. It can be tough, especially when those comments don't feel constructive. It makes you think about how we view ourselves and each other. Everyone has their own journey, and it's important to support each other, no matter where we stand.
I've been fat my whole life, and am actually still fat, but I did lose weight. Now that I'm 60 pounds lighter, people who see me regularly seem to be so much nicer and have been complimenting me a lot. I'm not getting mean comments from strangers anymore, but seem to have progressed to being invisible. People have been mean to me my whole life for being fat, so being complimented for my body really threw me for a loop. I felt sort of uncomfortable with all the attention. Sometimes I almost wish they'd go back to being mean, because at least that was familiar and I knew how to deal with it.
I get that. Changing how people treat you can be jarring, especially after dealing with negativity for so long. It's weird to adjust to compliments when you're used to a certain kind of attention. Being invisible has its own challenges too. It's almost like you lose the connection you had with others, even if it was difficult. Just takes time to find your footing in this new space.
For me, people treat me differently once they found out I lost my weight by having bariatric surgery. I understand that there is a consensus among the general population that surgery is the easy way out when it comes to losing weight. For me, I knew it would be the only way I would be able to successfully and consistently lose and keep off the weight. My relationship with food is a complicated one due to the fact that I used it as a crutch to deal with an abusive father and without the restriction of surgery. I know there is no way I would be able to stop myself from engorging on an In-Out or secretly eating a tub of ice cream. I have worked my butt off, literally, to lose 108 pounds so far, and I am working on losing more. By no means has it been easy, but it is definitely worth it. Only a few people know that I had surgery because of the judgment I have gotten for it. Those who don't know have complimented me on the loss, and I have only gotten negative or passive-aggressive comment from those who do.
It's interesting how people can judge without knowing the full story. Losing weight can be a struggle, and for some, surgery is a solid choice. It's tough how others think it's the easy way out. They don't see the personal battles behind it. The journey is yours, and it sounds like you're doing what's best for you. People should focus more on the effort and less on the method.
Absolutely, like it's literally 1000% different. I was chubby in middle school. I was teased, had little friends, fell into depression. Girls didn't even want to look at me. Confidence in game was low starting in high school. I got fit, and things gradually changed. Then as I went into the real world, and even in college, I became an entirely new persona in the eyes of those around me. I wouldn't change my life, and how people treat me for the world now, it's absolutely amazing. If you're overweight and you're thinking about getting in shape so that you'll be treated differently / better, absolutely do it, but also know that your mind will tell you that you are fat for a long time. Confidence is learned. It is not given just because you've lost the weight. Failure can and will still happen, but yes, life is way better now.
It's interesting how much change can happen over the years. I remember a friend who also struggled with self-image in middle school. He was ignored and bullied. Fast forward to high school, he hit the gym and transformed. People treated him differently, like a switch flipped. He still battled with self-confidence despite the changes. It's true that losing weight doesn't automatically fix everything, but he learned to embrace himself, and life has been much better since.
Definitely. In middle school, people call me piggy or fatty. Cho was pretty common too. No girls wanted anything to do with me. Then I went from 5 feet 1 inch, 140 pounds to 6 foot, 140 pounds. I feel great about my body. The first time I felt like a girl was admiring me was amazing. People are way nicer to more attractive people because they want to be associated with them. It's a cruel and stupid reality.
It's interesting how perceptions change over time. Being called names in middle school can really stick with you. It's wild to think how a growth spurt could shift how people treat you. The whole dynamic of attractiveness and social status is tough to grasp. It's a pretty raw realization that people can be nicer based on looks. Shows that some things in life can be pretty unfair.
I get a lot more negative attention, especially from women. Before, I was just a jolly fat friend that everyone invited out. But now a lot of women view me as competition, and I get dirty looks all the time. I've had strangers look me up and down and scoff at me, and gotten more eye rolls than I can count. Last time I went to the beach, these women were talking bad about me the whole afternoon in another language which they mistakenly thought I didn't understand. I'm not a model or anything, and it always surprises me that women are so mean and catty to each other. I always hear about thin privilege, but honestly, people treated me a lot more nicely when I was fat.
It's interesting how perception changes over time. You go from being the fun, jolly friend to facing all that negativity. It sounds frustrating dealing with those reactions, especially when you're just trying to enjoy yourself. It's weird how some people can't see beyond appearances. You'd think kindness wouldn't depend on size, yet it seems to. It's a shame how some women can be. Society's views can be pretty harsh.
No, I don't feel like I'm treated differently. I realized after I lost weight that your confidence in yourself makes the biggest impression on other people and how they treat you. I imagine many people who are overweight also lack a lot of self-confidence, which is why we as a society feel that skinny people will be treated better. We often see more confident skinny people than overweight people. Of course, this all my own experience, and other people will have different takes on the situation. I'm a white man BTW, which I'm sure plays a factor for people.
It's interesting how confidence can shape perceptions. Losing weight made you more aware of how people react to you. It makes sense that self-esteem plays a big role in interactions. Society tends to favor those who appear confident, regardless of size. Your perspective highlights the complexity of these issues and how personal experiences can differ. It's a reminder that everyone has their own story and struggles.
I'll try to keep it short, yes. But it's not all because of my body. It's more because of my, not to sound douchey or self-centered or whatever, confidence. It's built into my appearance. I've always heard that getting into fitness will change my personality to the better. Thought it was a cliche. It's not, at least for me. I really think I've changed. I'm more approachable now, and I don't feel like I'm being looked at negatively or even slightly in a weird manner. But it's really because of how my personality changed. I see the positivity that I want to see, and the negativity almost never outweighs the positivity. I hope you understand. I feel like it's hard to explain. It's something that just happens.
It's interesting how fitness can shift your mindset. It's like gaining a new perspective on yourself and how you interact with others. When you feel better about yourself, it really does change the way you see the world. More positivity comes your way, and you end up attracting better vibes. It's cool that you recognize this change and are embracing it. It's one of those things that just makes sense once you experience it.
I wasn't fat. Since I'm tiny, a little weight can look like a lot on my body. So even though I weighed 120 pounds, people thought I looked much bigger than that. However, when I lost that weight and became skinny, people definitely started treating me differently. I get noticed more, people call me pretty and beautiful, No ever did. People started taking advice from me, which sounds weird, but I suddenly became more of an authority on certain things. People are all around nicer to me.
It's pretty interesting how weight can change perceptions. Being called pretty after losing weight really shows how people often focus on looks. You go from being overlooked to suddenly getting attention and respect. It's a reminder that society has some strange standards. While it can feel nice to be noticed, it's a bit frustrating knowing that people didn't see you the same way before. It makes you think about how shallow things can be.
I've caught more grief from family than what I ever had. I lost over 50 pounds last year. My in-laws told my wife to make me stop losing weight. They really thought I was becoming anorexic. Truth be told, I just started running and cutting out useless calories. I'm at a healthy weight, and my doctor is very happy with my hard work. The craziness eventually died down. I even posted a before and after picture on my Facebook, and that shut everyone up.
It's interesting how people react to change. Losing weight can be a personal journey, and sometimes family just doesn't get it. It's good that you found a routine that works for you and that your doctor approves. Posting that before and after probably felt nice too, kind of like saying, "Look, I'm doing well." It's cool when you can prove them wrong and focus on your own health.
People don't treat me differently per se, but since the weight loss has been pretty recent, people tell me I look great and skinny all the time now. It's been a huge boost for my confidence, but it's funny how suddenly the compliments started. I've lost 60 pounds, so that obviously took some time, but the compliments and realization of my weight loss by others seem to happen right at the 50 to 55 pounds mark. All my quality of life has improved 100-fold, and I couldn't be more happy that I finally lost the weight.
It's interesting how people react to change. I've seen it too, where once you hit a certain point, everyone starts to notice. It's like a switch flips. Losing 60 pounds is a big deal, and it's good to hear it's boosted your confidence. The compliments really help, but it's cool that you've seen a shift in your quality of life overall. That's what matters in the end. Glad you're feeling happy?
Spent a couple years losing weight. I wasn't really obese to begin with, but still chubby and round. I was 5 feet 9 inches, 201 pounds. Went down to my goal of 165 pounds by tons of weight lifting and HIIT-style running and eating small portions of food along with protein shakes. So I lost a lot of fat fairly fast and the rest of the time building muscle. One thing I noticed is how people in general treat you. I know that whole "let's be kumbaya, love each other, don't judge society" wants is crap, at least for what I experienced. People in general are really nice to me now compared to how unresponsive in a "don't bother me" type of way when I was fat. My coworkers have always been nice to me, so no change there besides bugging me about advice of what they should eat and what to do for weight loss. Women actually come up to me for some convo, usually at the gym, and wanting to work out together and just hang out whenever there's some time in our schedules. So yeah, only difference is people I don't know treat me nicer, women talk to me, and my friends and coworkers have treated me the same.
It's interesting how a change in appearance can influence people's behavior. After losing weight, you noticed a shift in how strangers interact with you, which isn't surprising. It's like society often judges based on looks. Your coworkers still treat you the same, though, which shows true friendship. It's cool that you've gained confidence and are now connecting with others. Just goes to show that sometimes, perception really does impact social dynamics.
I went on the opposite direction. Used to be really fit, running and lifting weights 6 days a week, then got into a minor depression, gained 50 pounds. I felt how people were changing the ways they treat me. Before, I get a lot of smiles and just welcoming vibe from strangers and colleagues. But after I gained weight, I felt change in the whole vibe, and coworkers who used to invite me to party and hangouts would stop. Not to mention, flirting for girls completely stopped as well. Now I'm trying to get back in shape and just motivating myself to be fit again. The biggest issue I had was once I gained weight, I couldn't fit into my old clothing and my confidence went down a lot. I've lost about 20 pounds and I still haven't recovered my full confidence yet. When you're obese, you can tell who really care about appearance and who truly sees someone else's inner self. Some people will just dismiss you and brush you off just because of your appearance, and I think that hurts the most.
It's tough how appearances can change things. I went through something similar. I lost touch with some friends when I went through a rough patch, and I felt the shift in people's attitudes. Honestly, it messes with your confidence. Trying to get back on track is a journey, and it can be hard not to take it personally. The real ones will stick around regardless, but it's still a challenge to find that motivation again.
Was 220 plus LBS in middle school, and while accepted by my geek crew, was teased by the rest and generally ignored by most of the gals I was interested in. Over summer, I hit puberty, got a lot more exercise biking everywhere, and started eating a bit healthier. Dropped 50 LBS and shot up about 8 to 12 inch. Heads turned when my schoolmates saw me again, but I never gave attention to the superficial gals who had ignored obese me and now showed interest.
That's a solid transformation story. It's interesting how a change in appearance can shift people's perspectives. It sounds like you focused on your health and well-being instead of just impressing others. Those who only notice you after the change probably missed out on getting to know the real you back then. It's good you didn't let their opinions define you.
It's been almost 2 years. Almost every time I go to a cashier and there's a young woman there, she'll try to flirt. I've gotten 3 numbers. Never called one though. My mom, who works with and trains a lot of younger people, see pictures of me on his desk or on her phone and always asks about me. She's resorted to just saying I have a girlfriend, so they don't ask. I don't get sick anymore, so I never go to doctors, and my doctor, who I ran into at the grocery, told me to try to get sick because she misses me. But the most important thing is that I feel infinitely more confident than ever. So approaching people and talking to them has been a breeze.
Sounds like you've been in a pretty interesting spot. It's funny how some people always seem to be flirting, huh? Those numbers might be tempting if you ever decide to call. Your mom's a bit protective, too, with the girlfriend story. It's cool that you haven't needed doctors, and that confidence boost makes a big difference in social situations. Sounds like you've got things figured out in a smooth way.
Yeah, while I was never obese or anything, I was always just fat enough to look fat. After I thinned out, here's a few things I realized. Girls tend to talk to me, more and more people will invite me to come along with them to do things. I go to more parties, and social events people are generally nicer to me.
It's interesting how physical changes can affect social interactions. I had a friend who struggled with weight for a while. Once he lost a few pounds, he noticed the same shift. More friends invited him out, and he received more attention from people. It's like a switch flipped. It's wild how society views appearance and treats people differently based on it. Those experiences really opened his eyes to how superficial things can be.
Yes. When I was in high school, I was like 5 feet 7 inches and 210 pounds. Then I became anorexic, I am male by the way, and lost 70 pounds over 1 year. People actually started talking to and acknowledging me. In my late 20s, I put it all back on and lost it again. I was around a whole new crowd, and people showered me with compliments.
It's interesting how appearance can shift social dynamics. When you were heavier, people weren't as engaged. Then after losing weight, things changed. Gaining weight back and losing it again likely brought different types of recognition. It's a reminder that how people perceive us can vary greatly, often tied to looks rather than who we really are. The social aspect of this journey is pretty enlightening.
I am 5 foot 10 in, 179 centimeters, 315 pounds, about 145-ish kg, and now I'm 95 kilograms, and the major differences were women I knew in high school who never really talked to me hit me up on Facebook, would flirt, and all that. In college, women in general were more comfortable around me. I have some close friends who are girls of whom I can make lewd jokes with and are totally okay with it, as there is no way in hell I could say these same things when I was overweight and get away with it. I've gotten laid much more and used less by women.
It's interesting how weight loss can shift people's perceptions. I remember a friend who lost a lot of weight, and suddenly, those same girls who never noticed him were reaching out. He got way more comfortable in his own skin and joked around with friends, something he couldn't really do before. It's like a complete change in his social life, and he found himself dating more. Just shows how much confidence plays a role.
Yeah, I'm down to 219 from 350. While I'm not skinny, I'm definitely a lot better than I was. Went from sedentary, wearing a 3XL shirt, to active and wearing a large. People treat me differently. They're nicer, they're more open to me, they smile as I pass them, etc. Some people are offended when they realize people treat them differently now that they're no longer fat. Me, I cannot care less. I'm just happy that people smile at me, approach me, and aren't judging me for being huge. It's a confidence boost when a girl smiles at you, or when you notice that you actually look good in new clothes for once, because you have a more pleasing shape and can buy clothes that fit, not the ugly, ill-fitting clothes from Big and Tall.
That's a solid change. Dropping that much weight really does shift how people react to you. It's interesting how much looks impact social interactions. I get it. Feeling more confident and being able to wear what you want makes a big difference. It's nice when people are nicer just because you've changed. At the end of the day, it's about how you feel about yourself. Sounds like you found that.
I weighed 252 pounds near the end of my sophomore year in high school, and weighed 148 pounds by the halfway mark in my junior year. Being 6 foot and a male, seeing the difference was huge. At first I loved the attention and gained a lot from the friends and experiences. But I soon realized how shallow some people were, and while I feel like I didn't change on the inside, most people weren't interested on my personality and just interested in my physical change.
It's interesting how a change in appearance can affect relationships. People can shift their focus from who you are to how you look. It's kind of a wake-up call, realizing that some friendships were based more on looks than anything else. It's a reminder that the real connections are with those who appreciate you for who you are, not just how you look.
Absolutely. I used to be almost 200 pounds, and technically I'm still overweight at 160 pounds. I'm more fit than I used to be and appear to be thinner to those who used to know me, but from strangers I can still feel the sting that they don't respect my assumed poor choices, especially from certain fit people.
It's interesting how people judge based on appearances. I can relate. I used to be heavier too, and even now, some people look at me differently. It's like, no one knows the journey behind the weight. I focus on being healthier, and that's what matters. But sometimes, those sidelong glances from fit folks can be pretty tough to handle. It makes you think about the assumptions people make.
Somehow the opposite has happened. I've dropped down 4 shirt sizes and wear better clothes now, but somehow it's as if nothing really got any better. People I haven't seen for a while don't recognize me at all. They don't really congratulate me. Maybe they just thought I never would have done it. I somehow talk to less girls now. What gives? Do I have to get fat again?
It's strange how things can shift like that. You put in the effort and make changes, but the outside world doesn't always respond how you expect. It's like people can only see the surface. Maybe it's about adjusting your own mindset, not just your appearance. It might take time for the social dynamics to catch up. Finding comfort in your own skin is what really matters in the end.
As an unfit 300 pounds male and 19 years old, people would shake their heads at me, laugh at me, judge me. A table of people would just turn and stare at me like I have no feelings. It was almost impossible to walk around in public without a group of teens joking about my weight. But ever since losing 100 pounds, I'm treated as an average, uninteresting, nothing to joke about, human being just how I like it. I would encourage anyone with difficulty losing weight to research about basal metabolic rate.
It's rough to be judged like that, especially at a young age. Losing weight really can change how people see you. It's interesting how society reacts based on appearance. The whole journey is hard, but focusing on things like basal metabolic rate can help. It worked for you, and it might help others. Everyone deserves respect, no matter their size. Hope more people understand that.
I went from 103 kilograms per 227 pounds to 81 kilograms per 178 pounds. 18, male, 1.80 m, over winter and spring purely by changing up my diet. Shoutouts to rSlash keto. I just look better, simply put. When I was fat, I always felt out of place around people and would rather hide/stay home. Now that I look better, it's easier to interact with people and everyone is way nicer to you. I suddenly actually enjoy going out. In my fat days, I absolutely despised it. Also, since I started lifting, girls actually started approaching me at the gym, something that fat me could only dream of. I encourage anyone that has a few kilos to lose to go for it. All it takes is some dedication and patience, and it is absolutely fucking worth it.
It's interesting how a change in appearance can shift your whole experience. I get that feeling of being out of place. It's cool to hear that you found confidence and started connecting with people more easily. The gym must feel different now. I've seen friends go through similar transformations and it's like they come alive. Just shows how dedication and patience can really change things for the better.
I'm only halfway through my weight loss journey, 50 at 100, but I'm already starting to notice I'm getting more attention from the opposite sex. It's very foreign to me. I don't even know how I got my boyfriend TBH, it just kind of happened. And I typically respond with sarcastic and dark jokes because I literally have no idea what else to say. That's pretty much it. OH, and I can actually wear jeans that go over my tummy without me looking like an exploded sausage. So there's that. And cute clothes.
Sounds like you're making some solid progress. It's always a bit strange when you start getting attention you're not used to. Sarcasm is a good go-to for handling awkward situations, keeps things light. And being able to wear jeans comfortably is a nice win. It's cool to find new clothes that fit well, makes the whole journey feel a bit more rewarding. Just take it all in stride.
I was 240 pounds in high school from freshman year to sophomore year. Summer came around, and I lost 60 pounds in the 3 months we had as summer vacation. I came back, and no one recognized me. Eventually, girls started paying more attention. I was getting into bodybuilding and getting stronger and had more definition. This is when girls would come up to me and ask me to do things. I was still the same kid, just looked different. It really bothered me that this was happening. Kinda weird, but I'm still bothered to this day about it. Why didn't you like me for who I was before I picked up lifting? Okay, ran over, sorry.
That's an interesting experience. Losing weight and gaining confidence can definitely change how people see you. It's funny how looks can shift perceptions, making people pay attention who didn't before. Your feelings about it make sense. It's tough when you feel like your worth is tied to appearance. At the end of the day, it's about being true to yourself. It's a journey, and it's okay to still reflect on those changes.
I went from 315 to 209 in 1 year, and it was a fit 209. Goddamn, I had abs. The sleeves on my shirts were always tight, but Gold's Gym bought the gym I went to, and instead of remodeling it or renaming it, they just shut it down. That was the only gym easily accessed in my area. So now I'm a much less fit 220. I'm much better than I was, but nowhere I need to be. My goal is to hit 190 Anyway, back on track. It was different living life. I would see spaces I had to walk through that I didn't think I could fit through. Buckling my seatbelt, I always sucked in my stomach to make it easier. Even sitting up was different. On top of that, all of the people who knew me complimented me on how I looked for the first time ever. Some girls even looked at me. Now I'm dating my dream girl and gonna join the police force. Life is good.
It's interesting how a gym closing can shift things for people. Dropping that much weight is a big change, both physically and mentally. It sounds like you really noticed the difference in how you move through life. The compliments from others probably helped boost your confidence, too. It's cool to hear you're dating someone you like and aiming for the police force. Seems like things are turning around for you.
I've been overweight my whole life. A few years ago, I worked my ass off, literally, and became quite thin. Went from a XXL shirt to a S. Couldn't handle the attention. The person in the mirror didn't match the image I had of myself. I've since regained the weight. Being fat, while having its own set of problems, is familiar and strangely more comfortable.
It's interesting how our self-image can change so drastically. Losing that weight must have felt like a big shift at first. But it makes sense that the attention and the new reflection would throw you off. Getting back to a familiar state can feel safer, even if there are challenges. It's tough navigating those feelings of identity and comfort. Everyone has their own journey with weight and self-acceptance.
Not a skinny pertain who used to be fat, but I work with a guy who probably lost about 100 pounds in a year or so. I think I treat him the same. I couldn't stand him when he was fat, and I still can't stand him now that he's thin. I guess he's a little more quiet/reserved than he was before, though. It's probably similar to a trans person keeping the same job after they change genders. A little awkward for everyone, because they think of you as you were and not how you present yourself now. But I hate his guts, so who knows?
It's interesting how people can change. I worked with someone who lost a lot of weight, and while I saw the physical change, my feelings stayed the same. I guess when you don't like someone, it's tough to shift your perspective. It's like when someone changes their identity, others might struggle to see them differently. In the end, it's all about how you perceive them, not just how they look.
Of course they would get treated differently. It is like me. I have a Nissan truck that my work rents me. It is nice, but nothing fancy. I also have my POV, which is a rare Lexus and definitely grabs attention. The better the body of the car in my case, the bigger the smiles and the nicer the person. My car will have a sticker soon that says, "Don't judge me by the car that I drive."
It's interesting how much a car can impact how people treat you. I've noticed it too, driving different cars. When I'm in my everyday ride, people are usually indifferent. But in my friend's flashy coupe, it's like I'm a different person. It's all perception. That sticker sounds like a solid reminder that it's what's inside that counts, not just the exterior. Just shows we shouldn't judge too quickly.
I'd always been chubby and overweight growing up. After I had children, I lost around 50 pounds from my average weight. I am treated very differently. I've noticed females aren't as willing to introduce themselves to me or open up. Sometimes they seem cold or brash. Men are very willing to get to know me, walk up to me, compliment me, etc. I've never been a social butterfly. I've had maybe 2 close friends for the past 9 years. I'm married to the man I met in high school. I'm an introvert at best. Females were never friendly to me to begin with, but they never acted like they were threatened by my presence. Males never ignored me or disliked me, but I've never gotten as many compliments or even random men walking up to me to say hi. It's a strange world.
I can relate to that. It's interesting how appearance can change social dynamics. After I lost some weight, I noticed a shift too. Friends I thought I knew ended up acting differently, especially women. Guys were definitely more open and friendly. It's confusing when you realize some people respond to you based on looks. Makes you think about how superficial things can be, even in friendships. Life's just odd like that.
Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.